device is MOSFET, metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor. It is a recent device which is developed by combining the field effect concept and MOS technology. When we combine these two things, FET concept and the MOS technology, we get a one device which is a MOSFET, metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor. This is the construction of the MOSFET. A power MOSFET has three terminals: drain, source and gate. These are the three terminals. This is the circuit symbol for P channel and N channel MOSFET. It has also three terminals: source, gate and drain. It is a transistor, as transistor having a three terminals: base, emitter and collector, but here three terminals are source, gate and drain. As BJT is the current operated device, or a BJT is a current control device, whereas our power MOSFET is a voltage control device, because its operation depends on the majority carriers only. So, and also one more thing which you have to remember in MOSFET is a unipolar device. So the control signal or base current in BJT is much larger than the control signal required in MOSFET. This is because that the gate circuit impedance in MOSFET is extremely high. It is of the order of 10 to the power 9 ohms. And this large impedance permits the MOSFET gate to driven directly from the microelectronic circuits. So this is the main advantage of the MOSFET, through which we can use this device at higher voltage levels or higher power levels. And the MOSFET's main application, usually we used this MOSFET in low power high frequency converters. So due to this reason, we use this for high frequency application. Power MOSFETs are basically of two types: N-channel enhancement MOSFET and P-channel enhancement MOSFET. But usually in these two types we use N-channel enhancement MOSFET, because here the higher mobility of electrons are possible. That's why we use the N-channel enhancement MOSFET usually in the circuits. So see the construction of MOSFET. Here P-type substrate it use. This P-type substrate makes the body of the MOSFET, and two heavily doped N regions are diffused. This is the one region and this is the another region. These two N-type regions are diffused in this P substrate. Okay. And one SiO2 layer, this is the SiO2 layer, is imposed on the top of this channel, and the gate terminal is take out from this SiO2 layer. So this SiO2 layer is used here, which is not used in the BJT. Here conduction will start, and conduction will always flow from drain to source. Conduction will be from always drain to source. So what is our main task? To make the MOSFET in the conducting mode, we have to fill this channel. This is the channel region, and here two N channels are inserted here. So what we have to do, we have to fulfill this channel by the electrons. So how we can achieve this position? To achieve this position, we apply a positive voltage. We make gate positive with respect to the source. Always see, we take the position of or polarity of gate and drain always with respect to source. So when we make the gate positive with respect to source, an electric field is established and eventually induced negative charges in P substrate. In this what will happen if we apply the positive charge here? The minority carriers are also available in this P type substrate, so they attracted towards the gate and the number of electrons are increases in this channel. When the number of electrons are increases slowly in this channel, after some time what will happen? There are number of electrons are increases and these two channels have already a number of electrons as a majority carriers. So it will, due to the number of electrons here below this SiO2 layer, the current will establish which would flow through the drain to source. Current started to work, to flow in the channel. And if we increases the VGS voltage, VGS means the voltage between the gate and source, if we increases or we made more positive this voltage, the induced N channel becomes more deep and more current would flow from this drain to source. So this shows the drain current IDs enhances by gradually increases a gate voltage. Hence its name is enhancement MOSFET. It is not. There are two types of mode is possible, but in power MOSFET I will explain you only enhancement mode. Depletion mode is also there, where the thickness of channel get depleted. But here the thickness of this channel increases as we increase the positive voltage through this gate. So this is the condition to turn on the MOSFET, and here we use the P type substrate. We, instead of P type substrate, we can use the N type substrate also, and if we use N type substrate here, we have to use the P channels at this position, at this N, and the reverse process, जो भी process हमने इसमें पढ़ी है, the reverse process will happen for that. For that purpose, for that condition, we have to apply the negative voltage to the gate. Means if we use here N type substrate or P channel, for that we have to apply the negative voltage to the gate. So this is the working or construction and working of the MOSFET. Let's see its character. This is the characteristic which shows the variation of drain current ID as a function of gate source voltage VGS. It shows the N-channel MOSFET characteristic. Here VGST is the threshold voltage. After that, this is the, we can say VGST, this is the voltage at which the MOSFET gets turned on. So that voltage is known as the threshold voltage, after which the MOSFET gets turned on, and as the we increases this VDS voltage, after this the characteristic will we get the linear characteristic after this VGST. So this is the minimum voltage जिस पर कि MOSFET टर्न ऑन हो जाता है, and we can say that this is the threshold voltage after which the N channel can be formed. This is that minimum voltage at which the that N channel can be formed. So this is the enhancement mode, and this characteristic shows the depletion mode. So this is called the transfer characteristic of. This is the output characteristic of MOSFET. This shows the variation of drain current as a function of drain to सोर्स वोल्टेज VDS एंड ID के बीच में हमने इस कैरेक्टरिस्टिक को ड्रॉ किया है विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू द डिफरेंट VGS. So this is the graph for lower value of VDS. The graph is linear, almost linear. Just see, for lower value the graph is almost linear, but after a particular value the this curve becomes flat, means it gives the stable characteristic. So this is the output characteristic of the MOSFET. Let's see the next device. Next is IGBT, insulated gate bipolar transistor. It is also a characteristic of transistor, but here we use a insulated gate. Actually in MOSFET also we use the insulated gate, where we use SiO2 layer, and here also we use the insulated gate. But I will explain you further what is the difference between the IGBT and MOSFET. First, see the construction of the IGBT. In IGBT, we use here P substrate. From this P substrate, we take the one terminal, that is collector terminal, one is emitter terminal, and third one is gate terminal. So here also three terminals: emitter, collector and gate. This P layer is called the body of the IGBT. It injects the hole into the N- layers because it has a holes in a majority carrier. So it injects holes in the N- layer. So sometimes this P substrate is called the injection layer. This N- region, this N- region is called a drift region, and this P layer is also called the body of the IGBT. And in IGBT, when we make this collector positive with respect to this emitter, now we consider everything with respect to this collector terminal. So when the collector is made positive with respect to this emitter, the IGBT gets in forward bias. For making the IGBT in forward bias, what we have to do? We have to make this collector positive, and we have to make this gate terminal is also positive with respect to the emitter. We have to make this gate positive with respect to this emitter, and with gate emitter voltage more than the threshold voltage of the IGBT. So that N channel of inversion layer is formed in the upper part of P region, just beneath the gate. Just beneath the gate, the N region will form this below this gate, and when this happen? When we give the positive voltage to this gate. So what would happen? The charge carriers are flooded on the body of this IGBT, and currents get started flow from collector to the emitter. So that is the condition to makes the IGBT turn on. We have to give the two voltages we have to apply. First is collector to emitter voltage, and second is emitter to gate voltage, and both voltages should be positive with respect to the emitter, so that the conduction can be started in the IGBT. This is the static VI characteristic of IGBTs, and this characteristic is plotted between the collector current and the collector emitter voltage VCE for the various value of VGE, because we are applying a different voltages across the gate terminal, gate to emitter, and from after this we have plotted this characteristic. So this characteristic also have a similar characteristic as the BJT or MOSFET. So initially it is linear, but after some point of time it gets constant or a straight line. So the output characteristic of this IGBT is similar to BJT, but only the difference is that here the voltage can be varied through the gate. This is the transfer characteristic, which is also similar to the MOSFET. Here VGET, which is shows the threshold voltage of gate to emitter voltage. After this voltage, the current gets started. So as we increases the gate voltage through the IGBT, the current the more deep section or more deep channel we can make beneath the gate, so that the current can IGBT can turn on. So the basic difference, if we see the basic difference between the BJT and MOSFET, uh, is that in comparison with the IGBT having a insulated gate, and MOSFET is also having an insulated gate, but BJT have there is no option in BJT. So if we make the insulated gate, it makes sure that we can apply a higher voltage. We can apply at a higher voltage at this point, and we can use these devices at high power level. That's why these devices can be used at the power applications, and also both having a high input impedance. See the comparison of BJT, MOSFET and IGBT. If driving method, BJT is a current operated device, MOSFET and IGBT both are voltage operated device. Drive circuits, the circuits are used by using BJT, it makes very complex circuits, but MOSFET and IGBTs are very simple. Input impedance, input BJT, as I told you, BJT having a low input impedance, but MOSFET and IGBT both having a high input impedance. If we see the drive power, we need a high power to operate the BJT, but we need a very low power to make conducting MOSFET and IGBT. Switching speed is very fast. MOSFET having a very fast switching speed, because these all are switching devices. And what is our basic requirement to use these devices? Only to get the higher switching frequencies. When we switch the circuit, when we automate the circuit, we need a high frequency. So the speed of the switches are very fast as compared to the BJT. Operating frequency, it operates low frequencies less than 100 kilohertz, but they are having MOSFET and IGBT, both are used on higher frequencies. This is the safe operating area. Safe operating area means how much area we can cover by using this switching devices in the circuit. Means this shows, safe operating area shows the operating region of the devices in a safe mode. So it BJT having a very narrow band, means in a very narrow band we can use it safely, but MOSFET and IGBT is having a wide safe operating area, so we can use them in very widely in higher power levels. Saturation voltages, BJT and IGBT both are having a very low saturation voltage, but MOSFET having a high saturation. There are more three devices are there, like which I told you in the first slide, that diac, triac and GTO, but that I will cover in the next lecture. So student, have a nice day. Hello students. Today we will discuss about the diac, triac and GTO. In last class I told you about the thyristor, MOSFET and IGBT. So let's start with the diac. Diac, see, this is the cross-sectional view of the diac, and if we see the cross-section of this diac, we can conclude that it is a combination of two thyristor. One is, यहाँ से हम स्टार्ट करें, NP thyristor, and if we start from this side, NP thyristor. So this is the cross-sectional view, and this is the symbol for the diac. Two diodes are connected in anti-parallel. So this structure is can be considered as a two thyristors are connected in anti-parallel. But the main difference in thyristor and diac is that there is no gate terminal. So diac is a bidirectional device. It can conduct in both the direction, in forward direction and in reverse direction. So see, it has two terminals, is MT1 and MT2. MT means main terminal 1 and main terminal 2. This is the actual picture. This is the actual picture of the diac, and see the characteristic in both the diagrams. I have shown the VI characteristic of diode, and here you can see that it can operate in both the direction. It is operating in forward and it is operating in reverse direction. So when we makes the MT1 positive with respect to the MT2, this PNPN, this PNPN construction will conduct, and we get the characteristic like that. Here there is no gate terminal, so we have to increase this voltage up to a certain level, which is a breakover voltage, and the diac will turn on, and this is the on position of the diac, or forward conduction position or region of the diac. So it is just like a thyristor but having no gate. Without gate, it has a one breakover voltage at which it will start conducting, and from this point to this point no conduction, it is a off state of the diac. Now makes the MT1 is negative with respect to the MT2, means here MT2 is positive and MT1 is negative. So this PNPN layer will conduct as a thyristor, and in the negative direction or in the reverse direction, this also conducts in reverse bias. So the diac can be used either in the forward bias or in reverse bias, or we can say it can work in the both the direction. It's a bidirectional device. This is the triac. Triac having a similar construction as the diac, but here one gate terminal is given. Here also are two terminals, main terminal 1 and main terminal 1 and main terminal 2, and third terminal is gate, through which in both the direction it is also a bidirectional device. It works as a diac, but it is having a gate terminal. Through this gate terminal we can turn on at any point of the input wave. So it can be controlled in both the direction. It is operated in first quadrant and third quadrant, and in this both forward and reverse conduction we can control this switch. Okay, so the operation of the triac is similar to thyristor, but it is a bidirectional device. It can conduct in both the direction, in forward and reverse both. This is the GTO, gate turn off thyristor. As we studied in the thyristor, once the thyristor gets turned on, it cannot be turned off through the gate. But a GTO is a more versatile power semiconductor device. It is like a CT, but with the added features in it. Like a GTO can easily be turned off by a negative gate pulse of appropriate amplitude. Thus, a GTO is a PNPN device that can be turned on by a positive gate current and turned off by a negative gate current, and it's a gate cathode terminal. So GTO capability is GTO capability to turn on and turn off through the gate makes the GTO very versatile, or it is always like to use in the inverter circuits and the chopper applications, where we need to turn on at a particular time period, and through the same terminal we can turn off at a particular time period. So GTO is the most versatile semiconductor device which is used in the inverter circuit and the chopper circuits. So the characteristic of this GTO is similar to the thyristor. It is a four-layer device which is PNPN, and uh, here gate terminal is given. Through this gate terminal we can turn on by giving a positive supply to the gate. So if we give the positive supply to the gate, it will turn on, and when we required to turn off the thyristor or to turn off this GTO, we apply a negative gate pulse to the gate so that the thyristor gets turned off. So it is a gate turn off thyristor. And let's see a simple comparison with thyristor and the GTO. So GTO has some disadvantages also as compared to the conventional thyristor, that here the magnitude of latching and holding current is more in GTO, but in thyristor it is less. And on state voltage drop and the losses in a GTO is more as compared to the thyristor. And due to the multi-cathode structure, it has a multi-cathode structure, so triggering gate current is higher than the required for the conventional SCR. Gate drive circuit losses are more here because we have to drive the gate circuitry in both the time, in turn on process and turn off process both. And it is the one more disadvantage of GTO is it's a its reverse voltage blocking capability is less than its forward voltage blocking capability. And some these are the some disadvantages of GTO as compared to the SCR or thyristor, but there are some advantages also of GTO as compared to the SCR. As GTO has, I told you earlier, GTO has a faster switching speed. Its surge current capability is comparable with an SCR. It has more di by dt rating at turn on. GTO circuit configuration has a lower size and weight as compared to the thyristor circuit. GTO unit has a higher efficiency because an increase in gate drive power loss and on state loss is more than compensated by the elimination of post commutation losses. Because if we use the thyristor, we have to use the commutation circuits to turn off the thyristor. But here, one simple terminal is used, only one simple terminal is used to turn off the thyristor by giving a simply negative supply. So we have to only change the polarity of the supply at the gate terminal by which we can turn off the GTO. But in case of thyristor, we have to use the commutation circuit. So this is one of the biggest advantage. GTO unit has a reduced acoustical and electromagnetic noise due to the elimination of commutation chokes. We don't need to use the commutation choke because if we talk about the commutation circuit, you know in commutation circuit, the basic element of the commutation circuit are LNC, inductor and capacitor we use in the commutation circuits as a basic commutating elements. So if in GTO there is no commutation circuit, so no need to use such inductor and capacitor and choke circuits. So this will eliminate the many electromagnetic and acoustical disadvantages. Noises can be avoided in GTO. So students, these are the devices which we studied in it, and I hope you all understood, all have revised all the characteristic of the devices. Thank you.